Kia ora, good evening. A document confirming the sister city relationship between Invercargill and the Chinese city Southland was signed this morning by Mayor Tim Shadbolt and his Southland counterpart. Southland has a population of 5.6 million, an annual economic growth rate of 12% and an economy worth $50 billion. Both mayors spoke to Hunter Andrews shortly after the sister city agreement was signed.
Well, China, obviously, being our biggest trading partner, is of huge significance to us. They want food and we produce food. And since Britain left and joined the common market, we've developed trading relationships with 108 countries, and China is the biggest of them all. So they're of major importance to our country.
What is the potential, do you think, to deal direct with them, with the city?
Well, I think there's huge potential there. They want lamb, for example, and we are not getting the best prices we could. So if you look at all the produce that we are responsible for, even as a council, in terms of our pine forests, there is just so many areas that we can develop. Tourism, of course, they're the biggest tourist market now in New Zealand, and education, we should never overlook that. Over 300 Chinese students at the moment at SIT, and again, there's a lot of potential for growth there.
There's certainly room for more students, isn't there? We're perhaps lacking, if anything, the infrastructure to house them.
Yes, it's a case of trying to keep up with the demand, and that's a good position to be in. And our new campus out at Queenstown, of course, is going to help in terms of hospitality training. I also think sport. New Zealand's seen as a great sporting nation, and the Mayor has already said in our next visit, could we bring sports people with us to China? And we're renowned throughout the world. You look at the amount of gold medals we got at the last Olympics, even compared with China and India and these big countries. All areas you look at, there is the potential for growth.
So the significance to you and your city of this relationship?
这个沟通、合作、交流有更多的事情要做。对于双方的市政府而言呢，我们有着更多的责任。
It's our great honor to sign the sister cities with Invercargill. I think signing agreement is just the beginning. And although we have paid a lot of things, we have worked so hard to sign this agreement, but I think it is just the beginning. We have a lot of things to do in the future. We have to discuss and discover how we can cooperate with each other. Yes.
Taking it forward, what sort of plans are there for cooperation, economic, educational, and of course tourism?
另外，我们刚刚还谈到了促进双方的体育方面的一些交流。我们计划明年邀请英弗卡吉尔市的体育方面的一些代表团到宿迁举办一些比赛活动，加强双方的交流。
And as you're talking about the plans, we will do the cooperation. I think after the discussion of the meeting just now, we have found a lot of things to do. First of all, it is the economic trade. For example, the agriculture of our city is also strong, but our city, the agriculture of our city is mainly on the grain and the rice. So, and the need of the dairy of our city's people are growing so bigger. So they all need dairies, but the dairy materials, milk materials of our city is so short. We are lack of the dairy. So this is the one thing I think we can cooperation. And our city is also developed very fast is a city with a faster growing speed, and this is the first point. Agriculture and economic trade, and beef and lamb is also we need. And the second point is about the education. We hope that we can invite our city's students to come to Invercargill, to study in Invercargill, and to make the technology training in Invercargill. And we sincerely hope we can invite the Invercargill teachers, school teachers, to our city and to teach our teachers here, there.
How common are sister city relationships with New Zealand and Chinese cities, or South Island and Chinese cities?
According to my knowledge, they have already 7 sister cities with the cities in South Island, because our Consulate General, the Council District is South Island. So this one is very significant one, since the consulate established officially opened in after the earthquake, so 2012. So we attached much importance to the relationship between Invercargill and Shuqian.
Why does China consider it important to reach out to South Island cities or New Zealand cities?
Because China open to the world, and also because the New Zealand and China very good relationship. So we are very happy to see more practical economic cooperation between local governments. That's very important. And as you know, Shuqian has a very huge population, 5.6 million population. So that means they will promote Invercargill to China through Shuqian. And also the population need a lot of New Zealand-made, Invercargill-made food. They will import more agriculture products from Invercargill, and that will increase jobs for Invercargill, and also comprehensive exchange and cooperation will be possible.
Okay, look, if we were talking in 10 years' time, where do you think the relationship would be?
Well, I think a lot of the students that are learning here at the moment will end up living here, and hopefully they're training in their skills, and we've seen a few examples of that today with the interpreters. I would say that New Zealand and China will be even closer in terms of trading links than they are now. Just every aspect that I look at, I can see the potential for growth.
Stay with us. Still to come, New Zealand filmmaker Sir Peter Jackson comes out against a proposed monorail. Welcome back. Save Fiordland Group, opposed to the development of a monorail in Fiordland, have received support from several prominent New Zealanders who have joined the campaign against the development. Conservation Minister Nick Smith's recent announcement that he's still considering granting a concession to a developer behind the Fiordland monorail has prompted a number of prominent New Zealanders, including Sir Peter Jackson, to express concerns about the venture. The filmmaker says our national parks and World Heritage areas were created to protect and preserve the beauty of our country for all New Zealanders, now and in the future. They should not be subject to the whim of government or the will of business enterprise. If we don't conserve our natural heritage, we will lose it. The Minister intends to discuss the proposal with the New Zealand Conservation Authority and consider further advice from DOC on the World Heritage status of the area before making a final decision. Retail spending in the September 2013 quarter was relatively flat after a large increase in the June 2013 quarter. After adjusting for seasonal effects, the volume of total retail trade sales rose 0.3% in the latest quarter. This follows a 1.5% rise in the June 2013 quarter, according to Statistics New Zealand. The industries with the largest movements in September were motor vehicle and parts retailing up 3.3%, hardware, building and garden supplies retailing up 3%, clothing, footwear and accessories retailing down 6.8%, accommodation down 4.4%. Looking at the longer term picture, the trends for both total retail sales volumes and values have eased slightly in recent quarters, but in general have been rising since mid-2009. Immunisation rates for Māori children have reached unprecedented levels over the past 4 years, improving so much Māori rates are now equal or better than European rates in more than half the country's DHBs, including Southland. There's also been growth in Pacific Island immunisation rates, and Ministry of Health data for the last financial year shows 90% of Māori children and 95% of Pacific Island children were fully immunised by their second birthday. In 2007, just 59% of Māori and 63% of Pacific children were fully immunised. The sale of a slice of the government's share in Air New Zealand may be underway as early as next week. The government's stake in Air New Zealand equates to 73% of the publicly listed national carrier. The national government indicated prior to the last election that it would scale back its shareholding in Air New Zealand to 51% as part of its asset sales program. Air New Zealand was largely privatised in 1989 under the 4th Labour administration. In 2001, the 5th Labour government renationalised Air New Zealand with an injection of $885 million after it was feared the airline would follow its subsidiary NZ into bankruptcy. Prime Minister John Key would not confirm a time frame for the share sell down. Air New Zealand shares are currently valued at $1.67 per unit. The Employment Relations Amendment Bill has been voted down in Parliament with 60 votes for and 61 against. The bill, also referred to as the Continuity of Labour Bill, proposed changes to the Employment Relations Act 2000. Collective bargaining, flexible working arrangements, good faith bargaining and rest and meal breaks would all have been affected. Māori Party MPs and unions are celebrating the bill's defeat. The book Swaggers and Tinkers and Hawkers and More Deep South Personal Stories was launched in the city last night after over 10 years in the making. Written by author Jeannie Barnes, the book features well-known Southland characters and unrecorded history from interviews with over 200 Southlanders about life in the region in the 40s and 50s. Mrs. Barnes says it was her search for information on men of the road that prompted the book. The launch was well attended, with some wearing period costumes along with a selection of wild food from the day. And that's all from us this Thursday. Coming up on sport, Formula 4 driver Jamie Conroy and ex-McLaren Formula 1 team member Will Wilmot. From us, the news team, good night.